fucking July. Crazy. Pardon my potty mouth. Although I know some of you like the potty mouth. Some of you are also fellow swearers, so I do work on that. So divine guidance and loving clarity is my enchantment with tarot. Divine guidance and loving clarity. It's also a really great way to get to know you guys. I have a little tickle in my throat, so pardon me if I do have a cough. Yeah, the tarot was, again, intuitively guided on my journey among, like, sharing the healing of the heart, the emotional alchemy, processing emotions, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, working more in the spiritual realms to heal physical ailments and transform the perspective from separation to unity. So super dupes profound stuff. I've been sharing online since 2012. I've been doing tarot since 2019. I do offer private readings for now. So if you're interested in working with me via yoga, meditation, and of course tarot, at the minute I'm only offering pre-recorded tarot readings. They're up to £55 and they start from 20. And they kind of scale up where the first 2 brackets are just pre-recorded videos that I send to you. Of course, you can always ask questions in your booking form. And then the other option, instead of having live readings, just because I'm playing around with the services, right? And so the final option is just £55, and where I do a reading, and then oftentimes off of one recording, people can be like, ooh, what's that? Or what's that? So then that third option is where you book a private reading, you get the private reading sent to you, and then I'll probably keep it like 3 to 6 months. If you have like a question or something, an insight that comes through about the reading or want to follow up, send me a link or send me a message. Hey, MJ, can you send me and answer these questions? I'll follow up with a second follow-up video recording. So those are your recording options. Of course, if you're desperate to hop on a call and have a Zoom reading, we can arrange that. Those are more expensive, which is why they're not on the bookings. I have a fair few bit of private clients who like just message me and be like, MJ, please, let's have a reading. So the booking system just helps to make sure I can honor those bookings and don't run out of time for you guys. So Aries, let's get into your reading. Divine guidance and loving clarity for my reading. For my Aries lovers, divine guidance and loving clarity. Thanks for the spiel. Thanks for listening. If you're still here, I can almost put a little timestamp, but I actually don't know how to do that. I'm sure I could figure out. Divine guidance and loving clarity. Divine guidance and loving clarity for, this is for Aries, for July 2024. You guys are more than likely moving forward in a love situation that's been very, very, very anxiety producing. Like, or you're like, I'm going to just love myself supremely. And all of that self-love work is bringing you into a state where you're like, I guess I want to say like less in your head. Less in your head. Because also there's some sort of illumination and it is regarding love. So of course, yes, self-love, but the lovers would usually, there's 2 people, right? There's 2 people and the angel vibratory, or the higher self, right? Guiding us into these unions. And I want to say love saves the day. Like, this loving connection is what helps us step out of the 9 of sword energy. 9 of sword to me is like one of the worst. The worst. Because by the 10, we're dead. We're like, this can't hurt us anymore. This sleepless nights, loads of anxiety, grief. Like, I don't, have you guys ever had that? Like, I've experienced where either just brutal heartbreak situations or just even recently, like, such deep emotional stuff, which I can acknowledge now, or like proper core wound things like severe neglect. And that's what they say, like really the body keeps score, the body remembers. So we can be full-blown adults having emotional reactions, or I wouldn't say reactions because it's healing, so it's like conscious emotional triggers and storms that actually connect us to healing the wounds of our infancy. You know, like stuff that went down that our conscious mind doesn't remember, the emotional body. So some of you could have been going through some major grief, and then it's like stepping into this love energy, which is obviously super duper healing and illuminating. It's going to help you move to nope, oh, Aries, final, no, you cannot go. Like you're not going back into that. You're not going back into whatever caused you grief, anxiety, and like not being able to move to calmer waters. Usually, like there's a reason, and especially if you're intending, I'm moving to calmer waters. It's like, yo, the tide is in the other direction, or like there's a hole in your boat, like there's some stuff going down why you can't just carry on moving in calmer waters. And I would say with all the sword energy, for some reason I intuitively interpret the sword as karma, because it's like a process. We just have to go through all this shit all this, pardon my 3:30 in the morning laundry fest. I, for some reason, thought that my laundry thing was empty, and then I went to go put something in there, like, full. I'm like, that's weird. I don't remember filling that up. Clearly did, though. Anyway, I do consider the sword energy karmic. Like, we're just destined to act out these situations until we don't. And again, that's part to me of the efficacy or new paradigm acknowledgement of fully feeling all of our emotions. Because in my interpretation, observation, and professional opinion, when we don't process our emotions, we tend to stay stuck on mental and behavioral loops. Often is the case that those mental and behavioral loops will lead to distortions or lead to breakups or the saboteur energy, like sabotaging situations because we can't change, because it's all in our head, but we're not actually doing the deeper emotional work to uproot the densities, as in the cellular vibratories that create and or work on that thought level, thought vibration frequency, right? So if we're holding on to trauma and holding on to old shit unconsciously, it's usually unconscious. That's the point of doing all this inner work, is that if we're having reactions to our external reality, those reactions are usually pointing to something within us, right? And the reason we deflect and distract and what have you is because the wounds that they point to are emotionally painful. That's why we often skirt around. That's why people call it spiritual bypassing, but call it deflection, dissociation. It's just anything but feeling that emotion. And certainly from a kind of more narcissistic layer, it's like exposing it. Like, I guess it'd be one thing to like feel it or like think that it's there, but it's quite another to expose it to the world, because so much of those, like, I think about the media and how the media is purely designed to manipulate us. Like, it's meant to sell stuff, capitalist consumerist belt, right? And fundamentally it's selling us by selling an image. But I think increasingly as we awaken, as we become more whole and desire a greater healed state, we can recognize that the image isn't real. And indeed, it's very manufactured, you know? that's part of the breakdown, I think, of celebrity culture, Hollywood culture. I mean, not to mention the whole criminal behavior behind some of the most powerful people in those industries. But, and men and women are all culpable. Like, as in, I, like, speak for all women, of course. And yet I recognize men are often men also are put within those industries, can be sexualized, objectified, and it just seems like people have to jump through some pretty gross hoops to try to get famous or whatever. It's crazy as well to see like more and more people coming out to be like, as in it was just like people that were in certain circumstances. Like, you find stories of people that were like on a trajectory or like were really good actors, or they were on their way to stardom, you could say, and then they just like fell off the face of the earth, like we never hear from those people. There's a reason. Like, those would be the ones who were like, I don't want to bend over, kind of thing. I don't want to take my clothes off for you. They would have had a certain amount of virtue, or like, and I am not like, as in genuinely like feeling, I'm like, I don't have judgment, as in the hurdy is really people in power. Why would you do that? The victims or the people that slept their way to their top, or took their clothes off, or did it, like, I'm just like, make major compassion that we live in a world that will compromise any of us like that we live in a world that any of us feel that we would have to do something that's taking away our dignity or taking away our integrity. And this is where, like, recognize the other as you. Like, the common humanity is like the most important awakening, like, recognition. I am you, you are me. Like, we are reflections of each other. All is unified. Which is why, again, like, war and divide and conquer is just increasingly, like, I think, triggering the deepest core wounds within all of us, because we need to freaking heal, like, we need to heal, and we need to recognize our power. We're much more powerful as a unified force and voice, we're fighting and just trying to, like, conquer and dominate each other. It just doesn't get us anywhere. But in essence, nor does planned obsolescence and this idea of like infinite growth. I'm like, we go around in circles. We destroy and create. We're constantly regenerating. We're not constantly growing. Although when you look at that paradigm, isn't it interesting? You think of things like hoarding and obesity. It's like, there's definitely reflections to our collective agreement around capitalism and a sort of profit over people paradigm. Aries, let's get back into your read. So I'm assuming I always trust in all flow. And again, when we don't resonate, people in this community totally get, we don't resonate, you juggle on. Like, you don't waste your time just, trolling people and like vibrating hatred towards people. It just sucks. Divine guidance and loving clarity for Aries. Let's get 2 more cards from this deck. Divine guidance. I did see the King of Pentacles. I am getting that too as a collective theme. Now we are endeavoring to move into greater stability. So stability and security are, and again, that looks different for everybody, but there's an intrinsic, this is part of this energy too. There's an intrinsic sense of self-care, self-love, honoring the self, hence integrity, honoring the self to become illuminated, to know the direction that you want to move forward. The Lover's energy too could be like cocooning, because if this is legit, like you've been going through anxiety and oh my God, this is never going to end, and it's finally ending. Now you're not probably like, woohoo, I'm going to move forward. There's more of a kind of cocooning, healing, wait until that divine guidance comes through, right? I do feel more of you, it's like self-love. It's like healing the self. As in, I'm not feeling the, I'm not feeling a massive, like, this is like a loving union where you're coming together. This is like you love yourself to then have the illumination and the inspiration to move forward, and or maybe to take an offer. You're just not like, whatever, this stuff could have been like connected to love, relationship, etc. So if you're finally feeling more in love with life, you're not going to be rushing into any kind of love situation, especially, yeah, especially like, yeah, you want to heal, you want to feel good. And I just don't think that you're like in any rush to move in any direction, and certainly not to like move in a way just to please somebody. Like, somebody's offering you a cup, you don't want it, you don't want it. No thanks, right? There is an energy too coming through of speaking, communicating truth, like being able to speak our truth, being able to be honest with ourselves. That's a real thing coming through. And I think that's why you're like, I can't rush, or somebody's like, hey, let's go on a date. No, like, I don't want that, but thank you. Like, it's like you're really, really sitting with things. And I think that's a power play, Aries, because FYI, I have Aries in my chart. I have Mercury and the sun in Aries. So I totally feel the Aries vibratories. But yeah, Aries sometimes can be a bit impulsive, a little bit reactive, temperamental. And sometimes that impulsivity, of course, can hinder our progress. But then I'm like, does anything really, we're infinite and eternal and always learning stuff, can it really hinder our progress? Part of me thinks no, because that's all part of learning. It's like, oh no, I did that thing again, but you did it again. You did it again because you needed to learn from that one more time, or that, and I recognize that patterns in relationship, often we keep going back until it's final, until we're like, wow, you're just going to stab me in the back every time. So for some of us, it's not 10 cycles, it's maybe 3 or 4, whatever. But the representation of that 4th round is like, we're done. I'm going to die to this. Why are we going to die to this situation? Because you don't want to be in this anymore. I like not moving forward. I'm always a bit anxious. Like, what the actual F is going on? We're not moving forward. Great. So then let's close it down. Let's finish this and be in love with self to grow the manifestation vibration of your desire, higher mind in Hanged Man. As in, you're not going to just like force things to happen. You're not just going to move in the way you've always moved. You're going to like wait for the fucking inspiration to truly come in, and wait for offers to come in. And this is where it's like the hell yes thing of like, offers be coming in, just sit. If you're not fucking thrilled from that offer, if you're not like, this is the shit, I want that, then don't do it. If an offer comes in and you're like, no thanks, but you're just wanting to say yes to please some people, like, it's not gonna work. You want to be inspired. And I think that's part of the 4 Cups energy, is like, just sit and wait until you feel an authentic inspirational call. I'm hearing it's coming, Aries, right? Like, and I know Aries, we can be super impatient because we wanted to do it and we want to be the first and we want to get out there. We want to like make sense of everything ourselves, and like, and yet I think with life experience, especially when we've been through a little bit of this hell Shazam, it's like, wait. I know this energy and I know that I want to jump at it and I want to like get into it really fast, but been there, done that. This time I'm going to wait. I'm going to, like, for example, it's like getting an opportunity or having an important decision, sleep on it. It's always such a good idea. Just sleep on something. Always, like, there's that opportunity. Very, very rarely do we have to make a decision in that moment, on that day. We can be with it and then go, actually, give me 24 hours. I need to really think about this. I really need to sleep on this before I say yes, before I make the commitment to move forward. Okay, let's get, I'm now looking around at the other decks. Let's get some final messages here for my Aries. Self-love, cocooning, waiting for that, as in let life lead you a bit, Aries, rather than you jumping at life and make it all happen. Some of you guys still might have a bit of like emotional storms going on around worthiness, self-esteem. No shit, especially if you've been through this. You know, these are like deep, painful situations. I would say trying to heal from this is gonna shake up your perception of self. It's gonna more than likely yeah, like, as in emotional storms are like, I'm unworthy, God. But then, of course, processing that emotion helps you get to the other side of it. Of course, you're worthy, right? And that's where the cocoon comes in. You might just need some alone time. Also, some of you, so all of this intensity, mental strife, anxiety, moving into greater self-love and autonomy, for some of you is straight up money related. Because Ace of Stones, this is something you're growing. This is probably why you're like, I don't have time for a relationship. Even if you're in a relationship, thanks, honey, I don't have time for dinner right now. I don't have time for romance. I'm working on this business. You know, I'm working on growing this gig. I'm doing this side hustle. I kind of feel like not a lot of people know that you're doing this. The rebirth energy, I'm like, I think you're having a quite total, or like like a quite revolutionary transformation around your sense of material wealth and or your resources. It's like if you're finally really truly ending these cycles and coming into like more of your divine expression. And if you're in partnership, the whole fucking partnership's getting up leveled, but I feel more like this is oneself. You are like changing the game with regard. So the moon, your perception around resources is changing, and it's gonna bring in, stack it up. Hearing that Jack song, Jack Jones, my money when I see it all stacked up. Like, it's like Boss Babe, or I don't really like all that hustle culture stuff, but something about your healing, your cocooning is really changing your perception around money and resource. And it's almost like, I've got it. I've got all the money I need. I've got all the resources I need. And then it's like all the money starts stacking up. That's kind of cool. Pardon me. Final messages for my Aries, divine guidance and loving clarity for my Aries. Freedom. Six of Wands in this deck, very freedom oriented. Finally being seen, that's also part of the resources, success. Maybe remember at one point as well, like you don't need to talk to lots of people about this stuff. Just be knowing of self, right? So the Six of Wands, breaking free, moving into your new phase. Finalement. This is energetic before you're going to really see it in the physical and mental. But energetically, yes, you're breaking free. It's important for you to remain receptive as well, Aries, and to go with the flow of things. Like, there's something here about, like, just let go of the struggle, my friends. I know it's so much easier said than done, but that cycle's over, and now you're like, okay, I can be more joyful, I can be more happy, I can grow, I can allow life to grow around me and show me. There's a perspective shift around money. I would dare say coming into a greater sense of healed wholeness is going to help you attract more resources, but also know your worth around the resources that you want and need. Everything you need, is coming through in that regard. I think some of you, there's a little bit of inner work that can be excavated with the yamas and the niyamas. This is internal and external kind of code, as it were. So divine guidance, final messages. Well, it's interesting because I definitely went down the route of like, most of you aren't focused on relationship. These final messages are definitely relationship oriented. And for some of you, it is like maybe all of this inner work, and say you are autonomous. For some of you, there is like a real devotional kind of partnership coming in with the Tantra energy, as far as like all of this healing you've done has likely been balancing you. Light, dark, male, female, right? So you're feeling really balanced. And then the Tantra energy is just making me think of like coming into union with other balanced people. Obviously, we do associate the word Tantra with sexual energy. I don't necessarily align with that. And yet there is an energetic alignment, right? Of two people coming together. Even of how the physical body works, right? And how the male and female anatomy works, and the synergy of two energies coming together, right? Coming together. Only because I think that for some of you, there is a potential union, or you're in a union. Remember, again, some of you are just aren't focusing on that hardcore. You're healing stuff, you're healing cycles. But I feel like some of you could have some devotional practices, or just be in a phase of your life or something where you're coming into greater devotion. Like your spiritual connection is becoming devotional, which means the spiritual work you're doing is devotional, which means the people you're attracting are likely to have a devotional practice as well. Bearing in mind, there's an aspect of the love presenting that devotional to self and other to alchemize it in partnership, meaning like a really beautiful, sexy, unifying relation, to the point that the relationship itself becomes like a spiritual practice. And of course, sexuality and intimacy and all that stuff within the relationship becomes a sacred practice. I'm going to leave it there, Aries. Have a wonderful month of July. Feel free to join Patreon. Patreons are getting this usually mid to, I'm going to say the third decan, but somewhere from the middle of the month before. And then also I'm starting so the Patreons also get a weekly collective reading for the Patreon community. And there's access to playlists, there's access to courses and all that kind of stuff for the Patreon community. And as well as getting the monthlies first access ad-free, they also get the totally exclusive weekly readings. Have a great month of July, Aries. It's summer here in the Northern Hemisphere, so I hope you guys are all having fun and enjoying some heat, sunshine, and all that jazz. And here's to better days for everybody. Lots of love, you guys. Take care. Peace out.